Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. Do the same with the Grizzly Gentleman for great beard products. Both of them are fantastic deals and they help support the show. What is up, Planeswalkers Theoric 6, back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Now, first and foremost, this video is technically going to be coming out late because I'm recording it day of. Last night I was playing some Jackbox with Danson and some friends. So yeah, I didn't actually get around to doing this. But I do think that having that extra time allowed me to tweak the deck a little bit better. And so this little deck tech portion is going to be a little bit longer. We are still going to talk about the most of the stuff at the end of the video, but since this is Abzan and I've been trying to like actually make it meta, I want to talk a little bit about the cards. So first things first, Abzan Midrange is what I like to call a Jundalite. The idea of this deck is you have just very valuable cards overall. Like your average card power level is relatively high, and that's one of the ways that you get advantage over your opponents. You also have a relatively versatile suite of cards, cards that can play multiple roles. So for example, Scavenging Ooze can be just an annoying attacker against anyone, but what's great is that it can also be graveyard hate, both against creature decks that use the graveyard and spell decks that use the graveyard. Although, of course, you'll get extra benefits doing other things. Thragtusk is a great card for against aggro because of the fact that it gains its life. But it's also a great card against control because even if they remove the Thragtusk, we'll still have a threat. Knight of Autumn, for example, is very versatile, so she's good in a lot of circumstances. We also like to run a smallish number of very powerful Planeswalkers that can help us win games. Now, the sideboard is really what I wanted to talk about here, because what I did is I went to MTG Goldfish and I looked at the historic metagame and I chose the top 12 cards that are like on that first, or top 12 decks that are on that first page. And in there was Uro decks, Mono Red Goblins, Jund Sacrifice, the blue-green, I guess it's kind of more of a Jund, but the Mox Amber Chromatic Sphere, that combo deck essentially, Azorius Control, Rakdos Lurrus, which is the Dreadhorde Arcanist deck, Gruul Aggro, Azorius Aggro, which is the enchantment deck, Mono Black, which is essentially the artifact-based ramp deck, Mono White, which is the Solemnity Prism deck, Orzhov Auras, and Dimir Control. So those are the decks that I was mainly looking at to try and, at the very least, construct the sideboard. So what I ended up doing to build this sideboard is I took... So I actually started out with... I think this is technically the start. Yeah, so I started out... Oh, this is not the start. With just a ton of cards. An absolute load of cards, which is not like any of these for some reason. Oh, you know what? Is it this? It's probably this. Nope, it's not. I don't know. I don't know what I did with my big load of cards. But... I started out with a huge number of cards, and I ended up getting to, I think this is the one, I ended up getting to these sideboard cards here. One of each of these, and then I considered, or I looked at all of these 12 decks to determine what cards would be the best in against as many of the decks as possible. So we look at Grafdigger's Cage, right? We see that can hit the Goblins deck. It can hit, it can sort of hit the Sacrifice deck because they can't cast their spells from the graveyard. It hits the blue-green combo deck because now they can't, like, keep recasting their Mox Ambers and whatnot. Let's see. It helps against Rakdos Lurrus. Even Gruul Aggro, it kind of hits because they do have Collected Company. And then I think that's it for Grafdigger's Cage. But you see, it hits all of those things. Rest in Peace, kind of similarly, attacks essentially all of the decks that use Graveyard. We got Jund Sac, the blue-green deck, we got the Rakdos deck. To an extent, we even have the Aura decks, depending on exactly what they're trying to do. We can also hit the Uro decks, potentially. Then we have Destiny Spinner, and the reason I did decide to go with 2 Destiny Spinner is because when looking at the Azorius and the Dimir control decks, a large number of their cards are just counterspells, so I figured just having 2 of these relatively decent cards should help us out in that situation. Now, the 2 Damping Spheres, you might be like, what are you doing here? This one is more of just I'll see how it works. I don't know if it's going to be great, but essentially the idea is that against the combo deck, my opponent's not going to be able to do all that much. if a land is tapped for 2 mana, so let's go with the mono black deck. I believe the way it works with Forsaken Monument is you tap a permanent for, well, you tap one of your colorless lands for 2 mana. Instead, they only get the 1 mana. I believe that's how that works. I could be super wrong. We'll find out. 2 Necromentia hits pretty much every combo deck, any ramp deck. It just helps against those. 1 Witch's Vengeance, 1 Wrath of God. These both help against goblins, but Wrath of God helps against a wider variety of creature decks. And then 2 Thought Distortions. This is just against like all of these decks that run very few creatures, right? Uro decks run relatively few creatures. The Azorius Control deck. Even like Azorius Aggro isn't too terrible if we can hit them with it relatively early. The mono black deck, it does great against. Mono white, it does fantastic against. They have like no creatures typically. And then of course Dimir Control. So that's kind of how I got to this sideboard. Dampening Sphere is the one that I'm the least sure of, but you know, we'll see how it goes once we hit the games. Why did I pause? Because I forgot to finish the lens. You'll see the land at the end. There's something interesting, I guess, to talk about today, potentially. It's kind of a New Year's resolution thing, but I started it before New Year's, and I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions. I'm doing this not because it's a new year. I'm doing it because I want to do it. You know, I wanna live healthier and longer, really. This hand is not great. By the way, we are running 25 Lons. Hans Lons. This is also not great, but I will keep this. Because I don't want to mulligan down anymore. Oh. Yeah, we'll play this. Lose a bit of life. I suspect that they're going to be on, like, control or something. No, they're on rogues. Next turn, they can play Blackguard. Alternatively, they could Thoughtseize, play Thieves Guild Enforcer. Ooh, yikes. Thing is, like, if I take this, right, they just do this, then this. They probably take my Thorn Lieutenant. I'll take that. I don't know if that's correct. But here they just play Unas. Yep. Okay. Thragtusk. Probably not going to help all that much. I assume we're going to see another Una's Blackguard. No, we're probably just going to see an attack then. This does have flash. Not gonna lie, didn't expect it. Okay, so this will come in with 2 counters on it. That's not good. I didn't prepare for rogues. Although, Witch's Vengeance does hit rogue. They didn't flash this in. Why? Misplay, I guess? That's... feels very strange. I'm gonna have to discard a Yasharn. The unfortunate bit is at this point they can just hold behind a Lofty Denial. Oh, I have to discard 2 cards. I think we're boned. Yeah, because I have to cast this, they counter it. I lose both cards in my hand. That's unfortunate. Okay, oops. Alright, so we definitely want the Witch's Vengeance. I do like the Destiny Spinner here. Rest in Peace is potentially not terrible. I will take Wrath of God, even though, like, I have a decent number of creatures. I think Wrath of God is still fine. We'll get rid of these. And we'll get rid of... probably a Conqueror's Death, honestly. How many things do they even have that I can Conqueror's Death, like, realistically speaking? Not much. So I think I'm going to get rid of another Conqueror's Death and bring something else in. Even just maybe a Linvala. I could just bring in the Rest in Peace. You might be asking, like, why would I bring in Rest in Peace? The idea essentially is that they won't get any benefits from me having a full graveyard. But I think I would rather just have a Linvala as an additional creature. So for the past couple days, I've been playing Ring Fit Adventure. Look at these hands. I have 25 lands. Okay, so I'll be able to get, well, they might turn one Thoughtseize. Okay, they don't. Alright, cool. So I can get this Destiny Spinner down. So they at least can't counter my spells. So that's nice. And essentially, leave my Destiny Spinner alone. I guess I could kill it. That would suck. And the reason really is just to try and be a little healthier. Fatal Push, that's fine. You know, I don't have great lung capacity. You know, my arms are, like, skinny, but I do have a gut. And a part of it is because I have a freaking deformity, but, you know, them's the breaks. This probably gets countered. Oh, cool. Bounced with Rogue. Nope, they just play a thing. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's really helped me, because, you know, it's a game, right? So, like, yes, I am exercising, but at the same time, right, the exercise is, you know, it's low key essentially. I get to, you know, there's no I'm not, like, around anyone. Let's go ahead and eat the Yasharn. They bounce. No, they kill it. It's fine. Seriously, game? What's going on? Sorry, I'm getting distracted by how screwed I'm getting. I've only milled one land as well. What's happening? Why does the game hate me? You know, essentially I'm just trying to eat a little healthier. I used to have a Pop-Tart for breakfast every day, but I switched that up. Now I'm having yogurt and a granola bar. I have, like, what I consider a good lunch is, you know, whole wheat sandwich, some turkey, some cheese, lots of spinach. I'm not, like, insane, right? It is 25. It's 25. You know what? Here, I'm gonna get rid of you. I'm gonna add another, add another temple. No, let's add another Triome. I don't know why the game hates me. Now we're just gonna get nothing with, like, 5 land hands. But yeah, I definitely, like, I don't like New Year's resolutions, right? I think they're kind of hollow. And I think that if you want to better yourself, you shouldn't wait until you have an opportunity. You should just do it. There's like this meme thing. Hello. Where you you have work to do, and you look at the clock and it's like 3:35. And you're like, I'll just wait until. Yes, hello. But come on, are you serious? Maybe I was too quick to change things, but it's annoying. So I think this is a Gruul Aggro. I was correct. See how much Burning Tree damage I'm about to deal with. Okay, it's not too bad. Oh, well. Yeah, you say, I'll wait till 4. You watch something, you lose yourself, it's now like 4:15. You're like, I'll just wait until like 4:30. It's 4:45. You're like, I'm so close to 5. And then once you get to 5, you're like, I should eat dinner. Obviously, not everyone eats dinner at 5. I don't eat dinner at 5. Ah, fudge. I fudged myself. Son of a... Whatever. Cool. They got more removal. Great. I hate myself. This is what I get for talking. And then you end up not doing your work. Just do it. Man, I would have loved the... Honestly, I think I'm just going to gain 4 life here. Yeah, like that still would have killed my creature. Okay, so now I can play Thragtusk. Bruh. Bruh. Like... This is ridiculous. I deserve it. It's fine. I deserve everything that happens to me. I am lucky I got this down when I did. I hate that. So they just attack with a 4-drop with a 4-power creature. I don't block. Can I draw something good? Scooze is technically something good. But mostly just because I can make the Scooze bigger. No, I messed that up. I hate everything. No, I can't make this a 5-power creature. Son of a... 1, 2, 3. Yep, I can't do that now. I hate myself. That's fine. Take 6, block. This can still be a 4-power creature. Still get blown out pretty hard. Wub, 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 wub. Okay. If only I had another green up. I hate this game. Shit, got rid of a land. What am I doing? God, it's only Friday. It feels like a Saturday. I have one green source. This game ain't good enough. This deck keeps drawing terrible start hands. My life is better suit your mood. 'Cause these draws aren't smooth. And it's just like the ocean. I'm gonna flood, and it's the same as the emotion that I hate. My love. My shade can't block. I went with Shade because it can come back a lot. It's possible I should have gone with a more defensive 2-drop here. You're gonna kill my Shade with that mana? I'm fine with that. You kill my Shade. I Bloodchief's Thirst. Nope. He attacks me, steals my Wrath of God. Awesome, I love it. Sweet. Yeah. So I can murder this. Well, I'm gonna attack first. Can't block. Might as well attack. I'm gonna murder this, I think. And then just pass. Show me another green source. Okay, that's decent. I'm not comfortable playing that. I messed up. Yep. I mean, if they decide to kill it, I'm actually fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I did mess up, though. I shouldn't have played the land yet. Thing is, she still dies if I put counters on her, and they have another Dominier's Ambush, so. Huh. They brought in the Skoos against my Skoos. And, of course, Do I sound salty? Good. This deck has way more green sources than white sources. Who's gonna die? Nope. Hey, look, it's Yasharn. Green source, white source. That comes a 5/5, right? Yes, it does. I'm gonna chill for right now. Okay, despite the nonsense, we're potentially stabilizing. I'm not blocking it. Play this, yep. Offer in our trade. There's no way they take the Skoos trade, right? They do take the Scoots tree. I think I'm fine with that. Yes. Okay, despite nonsense, we were able to get that one. It's possible that Conquer's Death is better than Liliana here. Nah, this is like 2. This is removal of 2 at the same time. Got some apple juice. I know apple juice has a lot of sugar in it. I'm cutting down sugar in other ways. He said, absolutely, truly. Collector of pelts. So we might end up Knight of Autumn on 3 to gain some life, and then just Wrath on turn 4. Could you stop playing Robber of the Rich like every time on turn 2, please? I thought that's rude. No, fuck off, dude. Well, there goes my Wrath of God. Okay, so this on 3, this on 4, this on 5 is also a fine plan. There's almost certainly Wrath of God, or Thoughtseize my Wrath of God here. There's very little downside for them doing that. Yeah. That sucks. Is Scavenging Ooze better here? No, it is not. Don't like that. Because that's extra red. Here's the Embercleave. Why is there no Grand Abolisher on Arena right now? That's what I want to know. Okay, I was a fool. I'll make modifications after the video. The point of Skyclave... Okay, I'll go through the actual deck here. We got Bloodchief's Thirst. Helps against aggro. I think actually instead of bringing back the Murder Strider, that's probably what I'll do here is... I really wish I could increase the numbers in this view. The fact that I can't is just proof that Wizards doesn't know what beta means. Excuse me? Bruh. This deck builder's broken. I'm leaving this in because it's important to show. This is ridiculous. Yeah, all right. Doing this does not exist anymore. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm clicking. All right, the 3 Bloodchief's Thirst. Those are for removal. It scales really nicely. Most of the times I need to use this, it'll be against low CMC creatures. It can scale nicely and hit planeswalkers. That's cool. 3 Thoughtseize. We're playing a black deck that is a Jundalite. Thoughtseize is just helpful at getting rid of nonsense that we don't want to deal with. The 3 Skyclave Shades were to fight against controlling decks. However, it's possible that I should be running something else. Tithe Taker, for example, is a card that I did consider. I mean, I considered a lot of cards. I don't know where that blank deck, like the list of cards went. I hope it is still around here somewhere. It's nice because it can block decently. It blocks twice against an aggro deck, but against control, it also is annoying, and it helps against fairies or rogues as well. So it's possible Shade's going to go. Another card that I was considering was Growth Chamber Guardian. That did a lot of great work for me in previous iterations of Abzan. And the reason it did a lot of great work is because, similar to the Shade, it replaces itself. And it replaces itself, once again, in a similar way, where the overall stats are increasing, right? With Skyclave Shade, once you get to the late part of the game, it's not terrible, because you can just pay 5 total mana for it and have a 5 power creature, right? That's absolutely fine. With Growth Chamber Guardian, what you can do is you can play Growth Chamber Guardian on turn 2, and then theoretically you hold up a Mythos of Nethroi. The reason I took it out, for what it's worth, is because we have very few, 3, instants, so I don't have a ton of things that I necessarily want to do. But I'm realizing that because I only have 6 3 CMC cards anyway, the Growth Chamber Guardians wouldn't really be detracting from a turn 3 play all that frequently, especially considering the fact that Night of Autumn is something that we are generally going to want to save until we can get better use out of her, unless of course we need the life. And Mythos, we're relatively infrequently going to be hitting a 2-drop with Mythos. So I think that my initial evaluation of Growth Chamber Guardian was incorrect here, because it can buff itself to be a 4-power creature, which is great at blocking some early game creatures from aggro decks, and since it replaces itself when it does that, it's applying a decent amount of pressure, 3 or 4 power attacking if we went first, against a control deck, and if they get rid of it, we have that replacement. So I do think Skyclave Shade is better in certain circumstances, but I think I've reconvinced myself that Growth Chamber Guardian is the way I want to go here. The 3 Scavenging Ooze are very obvious. It helps us to just gain life and have some main deck graveyard hate that isn't, too frustrating or too annoying. The Thorn Lieutenant is another one that is both. This one is more similar to Growth Chamber Guardian than it is to Skyclave Shade, because this also helps us against both aggro and control. Obviously, it's very obvious against control. If they single target remove this, we get to have a 1/1. So they only are going to be getting rid of 1 power. And since we're able to buff this late game, it's a nice way to use our mana if we end up flooding. And against aggro, if they try to kill this with something like a Dimir Rogues Ambush, we'll still have a blocker, and that's what's kind of important here. What I'm probably going to do is cut all 3 of the Shades and 1 Thorn Lieutenant to have 4 Growth Chamber Guardians. And if you're running Growth Chamber Guardian, I do believe you want all 4. 3 Mythos of Nethroi. This is essentially the reason that you want to play Abzan over something like Jund or Sultai. And it's because it just hits anything. Now, yes, I recognize that Sultai decks currently are often playing Sultai White by including Yasharn and Nethroi, because Nethroi is fantastic removal, and Yasharn is just strong against some sacrifice decks and other various decks that you see in the meta. But I'm not doing that because I don't want to play Euro. We're against that in this house. The 3 Night of Autumn I did talk about already. She's just fantastic at dealing with a bunch of different scenarios. You can make her big to attack or block. You can gain some life with her, or you just yeet an Ember Cleave or something like that if you have somehow not died from it. The Requesting Beast. I'm actually going to talk about Yasharn first. Yasharn's great. The reason it's played in the Sultai decks, the reason it's worth the splash, is because of the fact that it gets your land drops for 5 and 6. Getting to 4 should not be terribly hard, even in a deck like this that doesn't have any like ramp creatures or anything like that. So it gets your 5 and 6, which is quite nice at being able to play these. And also, it just makes it so that people can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities, right? It just means that your sacrifice opponents that are very annoying, you're not going to have to deal with them as much. Same with anything that requires life sacrifice. I don't know too many decks right now that are using cards like that, but the fact that it's just they can't sacrifice things is quite helpful. And 4 mana 4/4. The idea with Questing Beast is just it's a strong card because it has Vigilance. You can force blocks against aggressive decks while still having a defender. Because it has Death Touch, it means that even if it is somehow being outclassed on the battlefield, it will still be able to kill whatever it's blocking, as long as it doesn't have something like an Ember Cleave attached to it. And against Planeswalker decks, you can hit the Planeswalker as well. So it also has haste, so like you can bring this out of nowhere. I am a little concerned that it's just like this is weird. I'm concerned that it's just not great. Questing Beast, the card with a ton of words on it. I feel like in this metagame might not be as good, at least in this deck, than it otherwise could be. The 2 Elspeth Conquers Death, also maybe just not worth it here. The reason for that is, although there are plenty of decks that do run plenty of things with the CMC 3 or greater, there are also maybe not equally as many, but there are also just a lot of decks that just don't have a lot of permanence in general, and their permanence may not exceed 3 often enough for Conquer's Death to matter. The second ability is quite nice against very specific decks, and the third ability is also quite nice if you have something to get with it. What I might end up doing, which will actually be easier on the mana, because then we'll have no cards that are double white, so we can decrease our total white our total white commitments in our shocks and checks, and maybe just increase, we have 1 more plains, 1 more forest, and then we go down like 1 of these and 1 of these, or something like that. I don't know. And instead we play the Elder Spell, right? No, Eldest Reborn, sorry. That will just have someone sack something. Doesn't matter what it is, and that might be an issue, but for right now, unless it's a very certain type of deck, just getting rid of something on the board is often going to be sufficient. The second ability is a discard ability, so it's not just like we're only affecting certain decks. Every deck essentially is going to feel the discard, and its last ability allows us to get a creature or planeswalker from our graveyard or our opponents. So even if we're in a situation where we've just been using like it's Bloodchief's Thirst into, let's even just say like a Scooze that has died or something. Mythos, we don't play anything on 4 for whatever reason, and then we play this, or the Eldest Reborn, and we don't have anything back, or maybe we play something, like maybe we play the Scavenging Ooze and it just hasn't died. Maybe we play the Yasharn, it hasn't died, whatever. We just don't, for whatever reason, have stuff in our graveyard. We just can get something from our opponent. The Thragtusk I've already discussed. This card is great. There's an argument for the Elder Gargaroth. I still just like the Thragtusk here because it's an immediate gain of 5 life, and if it's removed, no matter how, right? If this gets bounced, exiled, destroyed, doesn't matter. We're getting that 3/3, and I think that's integral against a lot of these control decks, a lot of these decks with removal, is that we really want to have that body lying around afterward. So I do think for right now I prefer Thragtusk. I still like the 1 Vivien Reid. If you can ultimate her, you win the game, but she just does fine things. The +1, it's card advantage. You like card advantage. The minus is removal, right? That's what you want in a 5-mana planeswalker. Card advantage, removal, or board advantage. Either of those are fine for the first one. And then we have Liliana and Vraska. Just kind of great planeswalkers. Liliana is better dealing with multiple things on the board. Vraska is better at dealing with non-creature things. Both of them have a presence, they make a presence on the board, although in my opinion Vraska's is better because 1, it's a +2 ability, and 2, it has Menace, which is very helpful at getting through things. Liliana obviously does have a nice static ability, but either way, they both are fantastic cards. I don't know what's going on with the mana base, but I'll just need to change it. And then we move on to the sideboard, and I wish I could freaking have this go up. So I described all of the things in the sideboard, and I want to play with this sideboard a little bit more. But what I might end up doing is just getting rid of Witch's Vengeance here. Even though it helps against rogues, and I think I would rather just have 2 Wrath of Gods. I'm not sure. But what I really want is I would like all of you to let me know what you think of the deck, and specifically of the changes that I plan on making. This is not going to be what I play next week. Next week it alternates, so it'll be more Gladiator. But the week following, I'll have made those changes, and we'll play more. So I'd like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Fogwind, Malik, and Balater for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show, find links in the description below. Hope, of course, you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And of course, until next time, I'll be one.